Now, the London Mayor has extended the scheme so that all primary school children in the capital will get a free lunch for another year. In England, all state school children get a free meal until they reach the year 2, or we would say primary 2 in Scotland, and then only for those households which are eligible for benefits that they're entitled to. Now, Albie, you tweeted about this yesterday, I think.
I did.
So you're very passionate about it. Not impressed.
What I'm passionate about is the government spending taxpayers' money effectively. And that is why I do not support free school meals for all primary school children across the United Kingdom. There are about 1.9 million children who are eligible for free school meals as of 2022. There are about 12.7 million children in the whole of the UK. So why is it that we would pay for the meals of all 12.7 million children in the UK when only 1.9 million children actually need them? It's a waste of taxpayers' money. And in this time of where the government's having to scrimp and save, they should be spending taxpayers' money effectively.
But this is state school, so do you think the wealthiest in our nation are sending their children to state school? Aren't they more likely to be in private school where they're not going to get the free meals anyway?
Not all rich people will send their children to private schools. Private school children make up only 7% of the population of school children in the country. Do you really think we should be spending money on all 12.7 million children for free school meals in this country when only less than 2 million of them actually need it? Is that really a good way to spend taxpayers' money?
One point. Another point would be schools for education. It's not for feeding your children, Peg.
Well, I think we live in a society and there's nothing more basic than feeding our children. I really think
parents can do that.
But the truth of the matter is that at the moment, millions and millions of families can't afford to feed their children, and it's not parents' fault. It's because of everything that's going on around them, cost of living crisis. Latest figures on that. You said 1.8 or 1.9 million children need it. Actually, the latest research said that there's 4 million children in the UK living in food poverty. That's either 1 in 3 or 1 in 4 children aren't getting the food that they need. So actually, going by who is eligible for free school meals at the moment is not an indication of how many children need it. You know, this is so basic. It helps children's education. We know they learn better. We know they interact better when they're fed. We are, the 6th richest country in the world, and we're saying we can't afford to make sure that every child in Britain has at least one decent meal. And I would say to you, you say, don't give this to the children of millionaires. Well, actually, that's what the tax system's for. So if we tax people properly, if we actually make our tax system much more progressive so people who earn more are paying more tax.
How much should we be taxing high earners?
We can get that money back. We can get that money back. I'm more worried that children are starving. 4 million children, potentially. There was another figure, if you're worried about it in terms of money, this was an estimation of malnutrition and what it costs the British economy, or what it costs the British government, is nearly £24 billion, 15% of our health and social care.
There's a point here when we're talking about children in poverty. 28% of children in Wales are living in poverty, which is why I think Wales is bringing it in. All primary school children will soon be able to have access to free school meals regardless of the income of their family this year. And in Scotland, I believe you can get free school meals between primary 1 and primary 5, and then after that only if your family's eligible for other benefits. So the other home nations are doing this. England seems to be dragging its feet a little bit, but is it a good use of taxpayers' funds, I suppose, is the question. Let's go to some calls. Ruth from Cheshire, what's your thoughts?
Oh, good morning. My thoughts are, I have two issues. The first one being, I do believe that little children should be able to have a good, substantial meal. And my second point was, when Mrs. Thatcher came to office, she banned all children having school milk. Now, let's reinstate school milk, because we're across the country, across the country, we're saying about the state of people's teeth.
Yes.
Yes, if we reintroduce calcium into the diet of everybody, or well, as many as we could.
Ruth, I don't know if children would be able to drink enough milk to combat the sugar that they're eating, which is causing the rotting teeth and the lack of teeth brushing that's going on. But I take your point that actually getting any nutrition into a child could see it, be more beneficial on the other end. I think there's some stat somewhere that says actually investing in children, you always get your money back in the other end, Albie. And actually, if it makes economical sense, what's the problem with it?
I've never said we shouldn't be giving free school meals to anyone. I've just said we shouldn't be giving free school meals to millionaires. Fine, we can broaden out the parameters of what free school meals are, up from the 1.9 million to the 4 million in poverty that PEG references. But giving free school meals to your children when they're older, Storm, to me would be bonkers.
But what if I don't have very good education in terms of nutrition? And so even though I have the money, I'm feeding my children terrible food for them, and that's going to cause them problems long term. Actually, if we just have national free school meals, we know what all the children are having, and the NHS might save the money.
But that's just an argument for nationalising children. Parents are responsible for their children at the end of the day. If you're a bad enough parent to feed them sweets all the time, that's on you. It's not for the state to pick up that bill.
We're a society, though, aren't we? We're a society and a country, and making
So should we nationalise children?
I'm not. I think that's to do with ownership. That's not that isn't the right
but
phrase
Albie has
to
a point.
use
Don't we have to, as parents, take a bit of responsibility for what our children are eating and feeding them?
The parents do take responsibility, but this isn't a level playing field. I think it's dead easy for us to sit here in a TV studio and say, well, parents should be doing that. When loads of people are working such long hours, they're struggling with the cost of living crisis. For loads of people, it's a struggle just to get through every single day. And parents are out there most of them are doing the absolute best that they can, but sometimes the resources aren't there. We've taken cooking classes out of schools. Loads of people don't know how to cook. They don't know what a decent meal is because we don't teach that in school. I mean, I know that's one of my things is that I think we teach the wrong things in school. We don't teach that in school. I remember interviewing someone from one of the Jamie Oliver projects in Bradford where they'd set up a community kitchen and it was a fantastically successful community kitchen there where they were teaching people to cook, and there were loads of families there where they just had never been taught
and
how
wouldn't
to cook.
that be
That's all been done voluntarily.
Wouldn't that be a better spend of money than on subsidising or paying for meals for millionaires' children, using that taxpayer money for cooking lessons? Wouldn't that be a better use of money?
I think what you are saying is because you're worried about this going to a small number of people, we're going to let
It's not 6 million people by your estimation.
Masses of children fall out.
6 million people is not a small number.
The minute you means test, the minute you don't make things universal, people fall out of the system. I mean, we're much better to properly tax people who earn loads of money and make sure that everyone in our country, in the 6th largest country in the world, has a decent meal in their stomachs every day.
Back to the phone lines. Lindsay from Hampshire, what's your thoughts on free school meals for all primary school children?
Oh, gosh. Well, I'm sort of caught betwixt and between, but I love both parties saying that, both of your guests. But I've worked in health and social care for about 38 years, and I've seen a huge amount of food wasted. I've worked in social care and institutions, homes where the budget is so low. And I've worked in schools, and I've worked mainly in healthcare. When you have to look at what the nutritional value is of that food that they're being given, often stuck at the end of the bed. And I know we're talking about schools. I do think that any child who isn't getting nutritional food, we should be offering at that option. But I also go back to your lady with the fabulous hair, who I don't know her name. I do apologise. Gorgeous. Yeah. But I think that we do need to also include in schools curriculum training for both children and parents. I had in the late 70s, I learned how to make, simple as it was, an omelette. I learned about nutrition, etc. We don't do that now. And that should be an intrinsic part of the school, and it should be offered to parents as well.
Lindsay,
but I do think it's very difficult to just give school meals to everyone. I'd love to do that, but I do worry with Jamie Oliver about the waste and the poor lack of nutrition food that we would give routinely.
Lindsay, you make really interesting points. I think you're quite aligned actually with PEG, but I take your point. Actually, if we're going to make free school meals for everyone, does that mean that the nutritional value goes down? Maybe they're getting less dinner because can we afford it? Thank you very much. Lorraine from London, what do you think when it comes to free school meals for all?
I totally agree with it. I think that what that gentleman was saying was wrong when he said that, oh, you can feed them with sweets. What sweets got to do with giving children free meals. It's got nothing to do with it. That's defeat the purpose.
No, I think you've got things conflated. I said that even if I have the money to feed my child going to school and I don't need the free school meals, perhaps I'm feeding them the wrong thing. So that was where that part of the conversation came in. That actually, if we gave all children free school meals, that perhaps then we would know at least that all children...
No, I'm not talking about you. I'm talking about the gentleman that came on.
Okay.
When he said if you can feed them loads of sweets, then you should be able to afford meals. There's no proof of that. And also, it's a child. You're talking about a meal for a child. Do you know what I mean? The parents are struggling because it's not the parents' fault either, because everything that's going up has got nothing to do with people. It's the government that's done it.
But Lorraine, should the children of Storm, who I imagine earns quite a lot of money, get free school meals when they're at primary school, even though Storm doesn't need the help? That's fundamentally my point.
No, I do. Yes, I do.
Why?
Because they're children.
But the
why
parents
they?
can provide that for their children, as most parents who are able can and should want to.
I understand what you're saying, but at the same time, I don't see what the problem is giving a child a meal.
I suppose, Lorraine, the counter-argument to what you're saying would be that if I pay for my child's lunch, it means that another child whose family aren't as fortunate and are struggling a little bit, their child will have a free school meal that might be more nutritious, that might be a bigger portion than if every child had to get a free school meal. What if it meant that the quality and the quantity of that child's meal was actually increased by the fact that I was still paying for my child's food?
I think if you can afford it to do it, then that's different. If you've got the money to do it, then that's different. But what if you haven't?
But that's what Albie's talking about. If we do free school meals for all, it means that there'll be plenty of wealthy people's children that are still getting free school meals. But I take your point. We've run out of time for another call there. That's annoying. So, Lorraine, have I convinced you then? Are you happy to only have the 28% of children that need free school meals have them?
Yeah, I agree. If you've got the money to do it, then don't, do it if you've got the money. Because I don't agree. If you've got the money and you expect free meal, I think that's wrong. Because at the end of the day, there's people out there that really need it.
It sounds like actually you went more in line with Albie than you think, Lorraine. Thank you very much for your call. Thanks for all your calls on this. We're going to have to move on after the break.